A first look at the Eachine P51D Mustang 500mm Wingspan, and it is a brushless, and it is sub 250 grand. This plane is courtesy of Banggood. I want to thank them much for setting this for review. Over the past 2 years, we've been asking for brushless sub 250 gram planes, and we've seen a lot of them. We've been asking for brushless sub 250 gram planes that will bind up to a multi-protocol transmitter, and we've seen a lot of them. And lastly, we have asked to get these planes in both ready to fly and plug and fly, and now we are finally starting to see that. So things are looking really good in the RC industry past couple of years. So we have yet another one, and it comes in a plug and fly as well as a ready to fly. So let's take a look at some of the features, and I'll give you some tips. All right, so in the box you get the transmitter. If you order the ready to fly rather than the plug and fly, I was sent the ready to fly version with 2 lipos. It comes with a very detailed manual. So the manual explains everything. A lot of the screenshots I'm going to show you are directly from that manual. It comes with a spare prop. It comes with a spare motor shaft adapter and a prop adapter. It comes with a 2S lipo charger, and mine came with 2 lipos that have the red JST connector on them. So I know there was a lot of confusion about this plane because in the specs it stated it was a 2S brushless system, but the marketing department had pictures of 1S lipos in the series of pictures that they had regarding this plane. So I am happy to report that it is in fact a 2S brushless system, not a 1S brushless system. Alright, so this is the Miss Helen version of the P51D Mustang. It's a full 4-channel, it's a 500mm wingspan, 2S brushless motor system, the XPilot Gyro stabilization system, and as I stated, it's bind and fly or ready to fly. There will be a link in the show notes, a link that's exclusive to Ground Control RC and TinkerzLab with a coupon code that will save you some money if you want to pull the trigger on this plane. The aircraft weight, my aircraft weight, I should say, with less the lipo was 96.5 grams. My all-up weight with the stock lipo is 118.5 grams. So very, very lightweight 2S powered brushless Warbird here. The lipo is a 2S 400 milliamp hour 25C lipo. It weighs 22 grams. The approximate dimensions, and all the dimensions I give you are going to be approximate measurements, okay, because they vary from battery to battery. 41 millimeters by 21 millimeters by 16 millimeters. The battery bay is 41 millimeters by 22 millimeters by 30 millimeters. So you've got a little bit of leeway on a slightly larger lipo that you could put in it. The prop is 4.8 inch in diameter, 122 millimeter, and it's 4-blade. I do not know what the pitch of the prop is. It mounts on that brushless motor, direct drive, no gearbox, with a prop saver. I'm happy to report that it does bind up to a multi-protocol transmitter, and the protocol is the V761 sub-protocol 4-channel. The gyro modes are set up on channel 5. I've already bound up to it with my TX16S programmed in the gyro modes, and everything seems to be working just fine. Now, I don't know about all the other functions of the stock transmitter, because there's a lot of them, but the only thing that I'm really interested in with my multi-protocol transmitter is the gyro modes, and that's all I'm interested in. That's all I'm going to set up. The ready to fly version transmitter, if you get the ready to fly version, it uses 4 AA batteries, which are not included, so that's the only thing that you have to provide is the 4 AA batteries for the transmitter. The plane airframe is fully assembled. There's no screwing anything together. There's no gluing anything together. The only thing you have to do is snap in the landing gear and snap on the prop, and it is fully assembled. All right, I wanted to show you. They thought this through very, very well, I thought. So there are two foam panels that you can pull out, and one foam panel gives you access to the motor mount. So if you ever need to take out the motor or replace the motor, you can do that without having to cut into the foam. And then there's also one over here that gives you access to the servos and the board. So I'm really glad they did that, because typically with these little microplanes, I typically have to pull out my utility blade and start cutting into the foam to get to the electronics. So that's very, very nice. I don't think the main wing is removable. It's all, one piece. So I think that's why they included the foam panels that you can pull out. But here's a closer image of the motor and motor mount behind that foam panel. And here's a close-up image of the board and the servos. All right, so I ran it up after I got the prop on it, and I had a lot of vibration coming from the prop. So you can see down here, you can see this little piece of blue painter's tape that I've got on one of the props. And then I also took a Sharpie and I put a little black dot right there where that yellow tip is, so that if I lose the tape, I know which prop blade is light on this prop assembly. And so you just have to do it by trial and error. It took me several tries to find which prop blade was the light blade to get it balanced. So I just moved I attached the tape about midway down on the prop blade, ran it up. If that didn't fix the problem, I pulled the tape off of it and I put it on the next blade. And I kept doing that until I located the light blade and ran it up, and everything ran smoothly. So it's just trial and error with those type of prop assemblies. But now it's nice and smooth. All right, so I recommend that you bind up to the plane in manual mode, and I think they mentioned this in the manual as well. Bind up to it in manual mode before the gyro is activated, and make sure all the control surfaces are in a completely neutral position. Okay, that's going to make for a lot less trim work when you get it in the air, so I recommend that you do that. Here's an image taken directly from the manual of all the functions of the transmitter. Okay, so you've got your power switch, you've got your red LED there in the center, you've got your multifunction button up here. So this button serves as your one-key aerobatic button. It also serves as your one-key launch button. Okay, depending on what you're doing with your throttle and your controls, it will function as a one-key aerobatic button or a one-key launch button. You've got a one-key U-turn activation, so if you want to use that, don't forget to activate that before you launch the plane, before you arm it, I believe. So if you hold the bottom of that button down, which the button that's normally for the throttle trim, if you hold that down, you should hear a series of beeps where it records the direction that you're going to be launching the plane in, because that's what it's going to record. So then if you use the one-key U-turn activation while you're flying, all it's going to do is turn that plane to come back in the opposite direction that you launched it in. It doesn't have GPS. It's not a return home function, so I want to make you aware of that. You got your throttle stick on the left. This is mode 2 setup. You got your aileron and elevator on right stick, your throttle and rudder on the left stick. You got your rudder trim down here, your aileron trim here, and your elevator trim here. The button right here is a one-key U-turn button that I just showed you, and it's also a Find My Aircraft button, and we'll go over that later. Your XPilot switch, your gyro mode switch, is up here at the top. We'll take a closer look at that. Your on and off switch. Okay, so I think that covers everything on the transmitter. All right, so your XPilot switch, which we just looked at on this 3-position switch on the top. Don't forget that the fully stabilized mode on this is when that 3-position switch is all the way towards you. So normally once you've made sure all your control surfaces are in a neutral position, when you bind up to it in manual mode, when you're getting ready to fly it, make sure that you bind up to it with it either in the center position or in the position all the way forward, so the gyro is activated when you bind up to it, okay, when you power it up. With that 3-position switch pushed all the way forward, that is expert mode. So make sure that you've got it pulled toward you before you launch it the first time, so it's in fully stabilized mode, okay? The binding instructions: keep the transmitter switched off, throttle stick all the way at the bottom. And as I stated, keep the XPilot switch in the middle or in the beginner position, which is all the way forward. Make sure that the plane is on its wheels, that it's in a position that you want the gyro to calibrate in, and that the wind or anything else isn't moving it around. Okay, so once you connect the battery and turn on the transmitter, within 5 seconds, it should automatically bind up, no problem. To arm the throttle, like a lot of these planes, once you're bound up to it, you want to move your throttle stick all the way to the top. You'll hear a beep. Move the throttle stick back down all the way to the bottom. You'll hear another beep. That means that your throttle, your motor, is now armed and ready to go. The XPilot calibration system, like a lot of these planes, you want to put the throttle stick to the minimum position. Do not unlock the throttle if you want to calibrate the gyro, power on the transmitter, and then the receiver. Keep the sticks pulled all the way down to the bottom and out for several seconds, and then you should hear a beep sound to let you know that the gyro has recalibrated. And I recommend that you calibrate that gyro before you launch it the first time. Your one-key aerobatic instructions, okay? So the one-key aerobatic feature, when you're flying, and it needs to be in either the mid-level gyro mode or in the beginner mode, when you press that button, you'll hear it start beeping. Okay, while it's beeping, you need to move your stick either to the left or to the right, your aileron stick to the left or the right if you want to initiate a roll, to the left or to the right. If you want it to perform a loop, you need to pull your elevator stick back, and it will initiate a loop. And that's all you need to do for the one-key aerobatic. The one-key takeoff works differently. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're in gyro mode, either the mid-level gyro mode or the beginner mode again when you power up the plane. You want to make sure that your throttle stick is unlocked. Move your stick all the way up and all the way back down to the bottom. You'll hear that beep at the top, beep at the bottom. But you do not want to actuate your throttle at this point if you want to do the one-key takeoff. So then if you push the multi-function button, the transmitter will start beeping. Then you want to give it full throttle, and then you want to launch it with a slightly upward angle. It should take off all by itself, and then once it reaches altitude, it should loiter. In other words, it should do a big circle. Any input on the transmitter stick will take it out of its loitering function, its automatic takeoff function, and you'll have full control over it. You want to make sure that you do not have your throttle activated when you initiate this, because then it's going to think that you're pressing the one-key aerobatic button rather than the one-key takeoff function. Okay, so just be aware of that. All right, alarms. Okay, so when the plane is getting out of signal, when your RSSI signal, your radio signal is getting weak, it's going to give you a series of 4 beeps in a row. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, when your flight battery is low, it's going to give you a series of 2 beeps. So beep, 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 beep. And your transmitter, when your transmitter battery is low, the LED light on your transmitter will flash, and it will just do a single beep. Beep, beep, beep. Okay. So I hope I got those beeps right. Servo lock. When the transmitter stops operation for over 30 seconds, the servos will be locked up. So when there's no input on the transmitter, it will automatically lock the servos, and that's because maybe the plane is down. Maybe there's something, maybe it's in a tree or in a bush or in tall grass or something. And so it's going to disable those servos so that the servos aren't actuating with the gyro or anything else, so that it doesn't damage the servos. Okay, I think that's a pretty cool feature. So when you want to unlock the servos, just push your throttle up to unlock the servos once you've recovered your plane. It has a Find My Aircraft function, which I think is also cool, in case you lost it in high grass, or like me out there in all that scrub. So you press and hold the Find My Aircraft button, which is the U-turn button, but you're going to hold it down for 3 seconds until there's a beeping sound, and then it will activate a series of 4 beeps, in a series like I did before, and that will enable you to find your aircraft by sound. That's pretty cool. I like that. All right, we're back to the beginning. So the manual is very detailed. It covers all that information that we just went over. It's very well thought out. It looks to me like the plane is very well thought out. They even provided access panels for you to be able to get it and replace things, or work on planes, or adjust the linkage on the servos, or whatever you need to do. So if the weather forecast holds for tomorrow, I will be performing my first flight session tomorrow, and then if that works out, I will try to get that the first flight of this plane published on Monday or Tuesday of this coming week. So that's a wrap on this episode. Stay tuned for the maiden flight. I'll see you next time in the Tinkerz Lab.